time to get geeked up.
And kind of like what you said, too, when I was doing the category of drama, war, action, and you were like, I'm going to call it a Spike Lee joint. To me, though, that, like, really go down as anything. Because like I mentioned earlier, like, The 25th Hour is it's a book I read in college. Like,
I didn't even know that was a book. It's one of my favorite movies as well, though.
It's really interesting.
As we always point out, not much of a reader, bro.
So the guy that wrote the book, David Benioff, is also like the head writer on Game of Thrones.
Oh, interesting.
The guy that wrote the book.
Wow.
Dude, trust me. When I like found that out, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Well, I mean, talented people. I guess we're talking about Spike. I do have one of our classic Spike IMDb breakdown kind of scenarios going on. Should I just launch into that? Are we ready for? Because 25th Hour is overall, before this movie, actually, let me just ask you, would you consider yourself a Spike fan? You meet yourself in a bar room conversation? Do you label yourself, do you go, I like Spike movie, or I like 25th Hour, I like,
Absolutely, I do, and I would admittedly say there's a lot of his older films that I haven't seen and I am going to watch. Like, I've seen bits and pieces. I think I've seen most of Do the Right Thing, but like
I'd say his more classic stuff, to be honest, me personally have not seen in a really long fucking time. I guess I've seen Do the Right Thing in somewhat recent order, but like Jungle Fever, I guess he kind of kicks it off in the late 80s with She's Gotta Have It, which I think was like a pretty big commercial success, and then School Days, which I think was like a hilarious as well, like wasn't there a hilarious 90s like bad comedy called School Days? But not with Spike Lee, like
that was Spike Lee.
No, but wasn't there another one? Like I remember like a punk comedy called School Days or something.
It wasn't that. When I looked that up, I had two movies in mind that I always think of when I saw School Days too. There's the Brendan Fraser movie.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Matt Damon, where they he's Jewish and they swastika.
Was that an actual? Oh no. That's the real. Yeah. That's the other. That's School Ties, isn't it?
That's School Ties.
School Ties. Yeah.
There was also the other movie I was thinking of, and it's Higher Learning that I was thinking of with Michael Rappaport and Ice Cube and Omar Epps.
Yeah. No, that's another serious one. I'm thinking of like. Just a shit like 90s, like a Brendan Fraser but bad like stoner comedy movie. But
no.
All right.
Okay.
Then we get into like his main peak of some of his real big hits, as well as one of my faves. But in a stretch of 5 movies, kind of towards the end of the 80s into the 90s, he bangs out Do the Right Thing, like definitive movie for Spike. Then Mo Better Blues, which is a great movie with Denzel and I think Wesley Snipes. But Mo Better Blues. Then Jungle Fever. Okay, one of his biggest, definitive movies. Then Malcolm X, which I'd say is kind of like his first.
I would say that's his Pulp Fiction, if you will.
For sure.
Another funny thing about Spike Lee, and even comparison to Tarantino, he did that thing too, where most of his early movies, he's one of the main stars in it. He's like one of the actors in it.
Yeah, good call.
You know what I mean? He puts himself in a lot.
Definitely. And I'd say, like you said, Malcolm X, really his Pulp Fiction. I kind of look at that more as well as his, like, kind of, not like I'm ultimately familiar with the box office shenanigans of these movies, but that's kind of more, I'd say, like his big, big market, high profile, real kind of movie that brought him out of, like, the kind of art house indie New York City filmmaker into, like.
For sure. I was thinking about this a lot today, too, and I mean, you got to consider the fact that I guess Spike Lee is really responsible for like the success that is Denzel Washington also. One, I mean, and I don't mean to sound like this fucking guy, but when you look at a picture of Malcolm X and then Denzel Washington, it's fucking like,
I know, yeah.
How much they look alike.
No,
dude.
it's true,
like,
it's true.
The casting is amazing in that movie, but I mean, really, Denzel Washington was on like St. Elmo's Fire, which was like a hospital show, like pre-ER. But
what about like Glory or whatever? Wasn't he that?
Yeah, for sure.
That was a pretty epic one.
I think that's post like Mo Better Blues.
Mo Better Blues, definitely. Oh yeah, good call. I'd say I was thinking Malcolm X.
Like I think Spike Lee's pretty responsible for like the Denzel Washington we know.
No, for sure,
so
that's a good call.
So that even that his Denzel Washington's son was in the Black Klansman.
Great, yes, wow. which I was like thought was a prank. I literally didn't even believe for a long time. But I guess so. We'll leave Malcolm X though, and get kind of back into a little bit more of like the lower profile New York City centric Crooklyn. Okay, and then again Clockers, which one of my all time faves. Then we got Girl Number 6, Get on the Bus, which was kind of like a real cool, just, simply made, trip to the Million Man March, but like real low profile kind of movie. Then a couple of big budget, He Got Game and Summer of Sam. All right.
Summer Sam, written by Christopher Moltisanti.
Yes, Michael Imperioli, absolutely. And you joked around another Denzel one, of course, with He Got Game. You joked around about the epic soundtrack, but as well the acting performance of Ray Allen. As a sports fan, one of my all-time, Jesus Shuttlesworth, of course. But one of the all-time great sports movies. A little intense for like a sports movie. Sports is a very, one theme of the movie, but...
Yeah, I mean, for me, though, it was just, like, seeing that movie, like I said, like 13, 14, and just being, like, expecting to see, I don't know, I was, like, more hyped up about a basketball movie and just, like, not the interrelations of, like,
for sure.
father and son. I was having Mrs. Doubtfire flacking fashion.
No, definitely. Pads. If you were going to, like, I was going expecting Blue Chips with Shaq.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly that.
And it was very much a Spike Lee joint. It was fucking Summer of Sam with basketball instead of punk rock.
Absolutely, dude.
But then Summer of Sam was another really, really good one. Was that Adrian Brody in Summer of Sam?
Adrian Brody, John Leguizamo, Mina Savari.
Great movie. And then Bamboozled,
amazing.
I remembered, much like Girl 6, I saw about those, didn't love, wasn't a huge fan of Bamboozled or Girl Number 6, but those were pretty big movies in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then I guess the 2000s kick off, like Devin said, right around the post 9/11 25th hour. Early 2000 release, which me and Devin said, yeah.
And that movie is just like so surprisingly a Spike Lee joint because I mean the cast is Edward Norton, Barry Pepper, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Rosario Dawson. I'm pretty sure Brian Cox is his dad. The movie's fucking crazy.
No, for sure.
And it's just one of those. Again, it's one of my favorites. That movie is literally like my nightmare of like I've had waking nightmares of being like. Going to jail the next day and like waking up like, it was all a dream.
I mean, I remember that being a whole mindfuck of a concept when it came out. Like, I didn't know that that's how it worked, that you could be out on it and like, dude, like, so you could be free then know you're going to jail the next day? Like, that would be fucking brutal. I figured just get arrested and then you're locked up until you fucking go away. I didn't know there was like court hearings and all, you know what I mean? It was like... Fucking, but you're right. And I saw that one, I'd say, not long after American History X with Edward Norton. Like, in high school, that was, like, a fucking amazing Edward Norton movie. And then 25th Hour was just
really,
like, Jesus, this guy's the best. And
showed his colors, too. Yeah, sorry, I don't even go on an Edward Norton rant. Good point.
Yeah, I guess we'll save that for when Edward Norton makes a movie on Netflix, and we'll immediately get back into our Edward Norton. But I guess from 25th Hour anyway. So now we're into the 2000s, where a lot of you might think a guy like Spike, you kind of think of him as a more 90s guy as well. You might think that the catalog has died off in the last couple of decades, but he's got 25th Hour, She Hate Me, then a couple of kind of much like 25th Hour.
Hate Me? Is that the sister of the guy from the XFL?
Yeah, exactly. I've got no idea what that one is, but then a couple more ones like 25th Hour that you might be surprised are Spike Lee joints, but Inside Man and Miracle on St. Anna, which we'll get into later as a war movie, as we compare it with The Five Bloods, which we will at some point talk about, I'm sure. But then a couple, another New York-centric run, Red Hook Summer, where he's back in Brooklyn. Where seriously, like this guy likes Brooklyn more than fucking Wahlberg loves Boston. But Red Hook Summer. Then one that looks interesting, although I'm not familiar with it at all. But Old Boy.
Old Boy. Okay, I was blown away to see that he directed Old Boy because he directed the remake of it. It's I want to say it's a North Korean movie.
Interesting.
I want to say I want to say it's a South Korean movie. It's definitely an Asian movie.
Makes more sense, but
Yeah, but it's about like a guy who's been captured for like 20 years and gets out by like gangsters, and
But who's in the American version? Like
Josh Brolin.
I was gonna say Josh Brolin, right? Like
Thanos and Scarlet Witch are both in it.
Fuck yeah! So that's an interesting one to check out. That slipped past my radar. Same thing with his next one, The Sweet Blood of Jesus, which I can understand why that would maybe slip past my radar. But
by the way, dude, I just found out about this movie. I meant to text you about it off mic. It's on Hulu, I think. It's fucking wild, dude.
Yeah, as wild as it sounds. I mean,
think of Nicolas Cage and like The Vampire's Kiss. Okay, it's fucking like that kind of like wacky.
Nice. So I guess much like Old Boy, we'll have to backtrack. We'll have to back catalog The Sweet Blood of Jesus. Okay, and then his last couple ones though, kind of back into more some social relevancy and some pretty big success with Chirac. And then, I guess last year's or 2 years ago, whatever it was, but of course the Black Klansman, which was, nominated for the Best Picture. And then this year...
Black Klansman was great. Chirac, you couldn't pay me to fucking see. Only because Nick Cannon, dude, is like one of the stars of it, too.
Okay, yes. I didn't see Chirac myself, but I know that was like I had at least heard of that one, unlike Red Hook Summer, Old Boy, or Sweet Blood of Jesus. But and then Black Klansman, yeah, and as well, really enjoyed, definitely, much critical success, commercial success, all that. So
did you? Getting into this too, did you recognize any Klans members in this from Black Klansman in this movie?
Oh, good call. I had not thought about it at all, but there was no Denzel Jr. or Adam Driver, so I guess I forget about everybody else, but.
It was the two white guys in Lamb.
Okay, wow. Those guys were in...
like, the one guy, the skinnier one, was like a main guy.
Yes, now that you mentioned it, I do remember that guy. Yes.
The fat guy was the fat guy Klansman.
The fat guy was the fat guy.
Yeah.
As we'll get into later in this movie, he's just the entire movie, just a fat shit that does nothing. They literally just wrote that guy in as like... so I guess pretty epic catalog of work though. For as we'll get into, totally snubbed by the stupid Academy for his entire career. As I think the Black Klansman, one of the big stories was one of that would have been his chance for his first Best Director award.
I think he was the irony too was that he was nominated for I want to say Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, you'd think so, but
he lost to Driving Miss Daisy. Okay, and then this time he was nominated again for Black Klansman and lost to like the reimagining, I believe, of Driving Miss Daisy. It was the Green Book.
yeah. Great call. But when you put all things together, though, pretty epic catalog of work. And then again, this one I'm sure will get back into some Oscar buzz. You know what I mean? You wouldn't be surprised to have him 2 in a row nominated for Best Picture, as well as some other greats along the way. Like we've raved about 25th Hour. Mo Better Blues is an all-time great. Like I said, Clockers I love. Miracle on St. Anna, another more traditional war movie, was great. So just a great catalog, a diverse catalog, really strong, spanning from, the late 80s to 2020. As well, he's had, some success with some big documentaries. He's actually done a bunch of comedy stuff, as he was the...
he's done a lot of comedy stuff.
Yeah, Kings of Comedy, of course, but as well he's done a Cat Williams, Jared Carmichael. Surprisingly, he would have been perfect for 846 by Chappelle, but him and Chappelle haven't collabed yet. But
he's also done a lot of music videos too, a lot of like music stories.
For sure.
Yeah,
he's in perhaps the most the brainchild of perhaps the most famous pop culture advertising campaign ever with the whole Air Jordan. It's got to be the shoes. Which is another one of the things that I love about Spike, and for me, just growing up, as we've talked about on the show, but as a huge sports fan, I mean, to me, Spike is like an icon of sports, literally being really the most forefront celebrity, true super fan on the fucking court, talking shit to Jordan and Reggie Miller in a Brooklyn Dodgers jersey. The guy's epic, you know what I mean?
He was, but with everything that happened with him, what were they telling him? He went through the wrong door.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be back, though. I mean, the Garden ownership is crazy.
Him, dude.
No, I know. He was, dude. Did you see him on ESPN?
Yeah, I mean,
He was like
Yeah,
almost
absolutely.
crying, and he was fucking pissed, and rightfully
Well,
so.
it's fucking wild, dude.
But
Like,
dude,
what were they-
everybody hates that guy so much. The owner of the Knicks,
Yeah,
Jim Dolan, like
that's true.
he's just like people just fucking raving on that guy all the time. So he flips out and does these asinine things, but like he'll go cowering back and let Spike in 100%. Like the fans would go
Yeah,
nuts.
He'd be crazy fucking not to, especially like now, like
For sure. If
good
anybody
luck with that
wants,
one,
not
buddy.
to get into sports talk, but if anybody wants to publicly support the Knicks, they should be they should be on their hands and knees thanking them for fucking showing up to those games. They've sucked for 20 years, and Spike's been like a loyal fan, you know.
Yeah, the
bringing
Lakers got all the
major
good
crossover
celebrities.
attention.
Like you
Yeah,
got
seriously.
one big celebrity, and it's Spike Lee.
The Clippers have more celebs. And especially, dude, again, not to get into sports, but with the Nets moving to Brooklyn in his backyard, it's like everybody already thought Spike was going to jump ship just because he's Mr. Brooklyn. And now they had their own team. And Spike was like, fuck that, I'm a Knicks fan. I would never do that. You know? And now they're they're trying to force him
any
out.
true sports fan.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But so like you said though, he's done music videos, comedy specials, documentaries as well. There was a big
he's
Jim
the fucking
Brown,
man. He's a
Katrina.
respected-
Like he's done everything at a
When
super
the
high.
Levees Broke is an amazing documentary, dude.
Yes.
About Katrina. It's a
For
fucking
sure. Great HBO piece
like
there.
a 4-part.
So,
yeah.
yep. So just really all in all, you know what I mean? One of the all-time greats. And when he really sinks his teeth into something, and Spike at his best does it better than just about anybody.
Ooh, baby, it's time to get geeked up.